Well, here's some real news. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has just put in its 11th straight record closing day in a row. Hi, Dean Jenkins with FollowMeTrades.com, and this is the market update for the week coming up of February 27th, 2017. And of course, I'm having fun with real news, but this is real news, and it's being reported by USA Today. So of course, that must be the best news possible. And I don't think they've been kicked out of the White House press briefing room just yet. But this is real. The Dow has closed at a record high for the last 11 sessions, and that's the longest streak since 1987. So that is some real news. But the big question, the real question is, of course, what's next? All the indicators are positive and bullish, and the trend is still continuing up. So until we see evidence of the trend turning and moving down, we have to expect more highs. Now we can get evidence at any time, and there's a very specific pattern we look for that confirms that the index is turned down. And of course, I'll provide updates on that as it happens. But right now, just from a technical standpoint, the trend is up, it is unbroken and continuing. How far will it go? We don't know. So here's another bit of real news, something I think is an interesting article from CNBC. Headline is, with the market's excessive optimism, investors should look at the anti-Trump trade, according to some experts here. Don't know who they are. But they go on to make a pretty good point in that the current market run-up, as I've talked about, is really based on expectations about what the administration and the Congress are going to do in terms of tax cuts, regulations, a whole handful of things that really aren't implemented yet. So the current rally is based on some expectations about what's going to happen, and some of those things are going to take some time to happen. This current rally in the market's not being driven by a dramatic increase in U.S. corporation earnings just yet. And what's interesting in this article is they say if you look over at Mexico, UK, some emerging markets, there's some areas that have had some pretty significant earnings growth, and it may be worthwhile to go look at those and see if real earning growth could trigger some real stock price moves. So I think that's worth checking out. I'm starting to look at those and look for some trades, primarily in ETFs for some emerging markets, maybe Mexico, maybe UK, some other European stuff. I've taken a look, and I think some of them are pretty interesting, so I'm going to be following that. What's really important, regardless of what instrument we trade, and by the way, there are still good trades out there. We're still in them, even though I'm not going to try and trade the indexes in the U.S. I think they're pretty extended. The setups I look for in trades aren't there, but there still are great trades out there, and we're in several. Here's a good example of a stock that's moving with its own pattern. It's not tied to the index, and it's still got a long way to go. This is AWK, American Waterworks. This trade got re-triggered here at 64.66. We're in it. It's up a couple bucks. We've got a target up here above $90. And so we think this is a highly probable trade. So there are trades like this that aren't tied to and moving with the exact trend of the big indexes. And so we'll continue to trade those and try and find those. And we're doing really well with trades like that. But what's important with any trade is managing risk. Because any trade could fail, trends can turn, bad news can come out, and even winning trades can turn into losers. And what's super important is to control that. I've got a link here in the video and in the text where I tell you about the worst trade I ever took, and not just about the trade, but lots of people tell you about their winners and how much money they made and how amazing it was. I'll show you my biggest loser ever, and more importantly, what I learned about that loser, what I learned from that experience that I apply to my trading today to keep the losses manageable and acceptable, and to maintain consistent profitability. Because one big loser can kind of take you out, and if you control that, then you have a much better chance at being profitable over time. So I invite you to check that out. It's a very short video, and hopefully as I talk about what I learned and the tools I use, I give you some tips and tricks that you can apply. Hope you find that valuable. Here's gold. We always like to take a look at gold in the weekly update. So gold is continuing to show a really impressive rally. Took off late last year, pulled back just a little bit, very nice, very healthy, and we think this trend has some legs and is probably going to continue. Of course, it won't go straight up. It'll do this again, but we think we've got a real trend underway here in gold. We're continuing to trade gold and gold-related instruments, and we think it's got some legs to go. So still like gold a lot. And we've been talking about oil being stuck in a channel for a number of months now, and it is still stuck in a channel. It's just not going anywhere. You can see it's just trading up and down in a very narrow range, going sideways. So until it really breaks out of this channel with some momentum and crosses this line, still sitting here at about 56.27, and closes above that, we think there isn't a trend. There isn't. We don't think it. There is not a trend, and we think breaking that level would indicate the potential for the start of a trend. So we're on the sidelines on oil, waiting to see if we can get something going here. It won't stay here forever. It will break out, and when it does, we'll be ready. So that's the update for this week. Again, I encourage you to check out that worst trade ever video. I think there's something useful there to learn. It certainly was valuable lessons for me, and I'm happy to share it. And meanwhile, trade safe. Use risk control. Some of the tips that I supply, no matter what your trading style is, risk control I think is appropriate and applicable for everyone. I look forward to the next update when we get some evidence about what's happening with the trend, things turning, whether it's the major index is turning down into a correction, oil starting a new trend, or again the continuation of the gold trend. I'm here to give those updates every week, and I look forward to it. If you have any questions or comments, by all means, send them to me. I try to answer every message that comes in. All right, take care. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.